These aren't just close calls or weird encounters. These are real stories from people who were stalked, followed, watched, and hunted in plain sight. No exaggerations, just raw, unsettling reality. Here are 2 true stalker horror stories that'll make you think twice about who might be keeping tabs on you. Let me start by saying I'm a man, and I'm telling this story as a warning, because no matter your gender, you need to be careful out there. The world's getting more dangerous by the day, and what happened to me could happen to anyone. This all happened back in 2017, when I was working at a pipe supply office in downtown Omaha. I always got off work at around 7 in the evening and usually hit up this little food spot nearby. Sometimes I'd grab something to go and eat it at home. Other times I'd just sit and eat there, depending on my vibe. One night, I was walking my usual route to that spot when I noticed a guy lingering near a row of trash cans in the alleyway of some apartment unit. At first glance, he looked like your average junkie, hunched over, digging through bags, messing with garbage. I didn't think much of it and just kept walking. About 20 steps later, I heard a voice behind me say something like, "You look a lot like him." I turned around and saw the same guy, now standing there holding a black garbage bag, smiling at me in a way that instantly made my stomach turn. It wasn't just a creepy smile. It was off, too wide, like he was genuinely happy but for the wrong reasons. I asked him what he meant, and he just chuckled and said I looked like his brother, that I reminded him of someone from Arkansas. Then he brushed it off and told me to forget about it. Said he thought I was him for a second. Now this might have been my mistake, but I humored him. I smiled and told him I wasn't his brother, that my family's actually from Oregon. I thought I was just being polite. I didn't want to judge the guy. We're all people at the end of the day, no matter where we come from or what we've been through. That night ended fine. I didn't think much of it after that. But about 2 weeks later, I passed by the same alley again. And there he was. This time, he wasn't messing with trash. He was just standing there, still, like he'd been waiting for me. I didn't acknowledge him. I didn't have a reason to. I just kept walking like normal. It was lightly raining that night. The streets were empty, except for 2 other guys walking on the opposite side. That's when I noticed him again, behind me now. He was following me. This time, he was a lot closer. I turned and gave him a look, something between annoyed and what the hell do you want kind of look. He stopped and said, "You're my brother. Why are you lying to me like you always do?" I told him, firmer this time, that I wasn't his damn brother. I told him respectfully to back off, that I wasn't looking for trouble. But then he said something that made my blood run cold. He said, "When Mom passed, where were you? You were always gone. I was the one taking care of things, but you got all the praise. You didn't even send money." At that point, I realized something wasn't right. This guy had a whole story in his head, a whole identity for me that wasn't mine. I laughed nervously and told him again, "I'm not your brother, man. You've got the wrong person." He didn't follow me after that. I went home, which at the time was an old house left to me by my aunt after she passed. I followed my usual routine, ordered some food, set up in the living room, and started watching Narcos on Netflix. Then I heard knocking at the front door. I peeked through the peephole. Nothing. Nobody there. I brushed it off. Maybe the wind, maybe a neighbor's cat or something. But then, a couple minutes later, I heard knocking again. This time it came from the kitchen window. Now I was freaked out. I slowly walked to the kitchen, trying to convince myself it was nothing. I grabbed my flashlight and stood near the door that led outside. I was about to open it, but something in me said don't. I stood there, staring at the window. That's when I saw it. A face. Someone was leaning in, trying to look through the darkened glass. I couldn't make out the features, just the shape of a head, maybe a hood. Without thinking, I reached up and tapped the spot on the glass. Whoever it was outside, he bolted, took off into the night. I was freaked out, but not totally panicked. I figured maybe it was just a thief scoping the place out. I had a gun in the house just in case, and at that point I was glad I did. But the scariest part, the part that I still can't shake, happened the next night. I'd gone to bed early, completely wiped out from work. I was sleeping in that weird halfway state, not fully asleep, but not awake either. And I swear to God, I saw him. He was standing in my doorway, wearing a brown jacket, just leaning against the frame, staring at me. I couldn't move, couldn't even blink. I wasn't sure if I was dreaming or not. Felt so real. He stood there for what felt like 5 full minutes. Then he turned and walked off. That's when I snapped awake for real. I jolted out of bed, heart pounding, and grabbed my gun from the nightstand. With every step, I tried to steady my breathing as I moved through the house, checking each room carefully. The living room was empty, nothing out of place. The bathroom was quiet. I crept into the kitchen, and that's when I saw it. The back door wide open, swaying slightly like someone had just slipped out seconds before. I don't know how long it had been like that, but I know I didn't leave it unlocked. Whoever it was had come inside. I didn't see him. I didn't hear him, but I know he was in there. I called the cops, and when they showed up, they were frustrated. They said I should have reported the earlier incidents, given them something to go on. I felt useless. Thankfully, nothing else ever happened after that. I never saw the guy again. Maybe he moved on. Maybe he found someone else to project his broken version of reality onto. I still pass by that alley now and then, though I don't work at that office anymore. And every time I do, I look over my shoulder just in case. 10 years ago, I lived in France for work. That was during the prime of my life. I was excited about being overseas. It brought this different kind of freedom, you know? None of my family ever lived that kind of life. They're all just boring individuals, I guess. I'm originally from Minnesota, and being a female working abroad, I felt free. I felt wonderful and powerful. I lived in a decent apartment for about 2 years, made myself comfortable with the place and the people, made some friends too. I even learned the language, which surprised the hell out of me because I struggled with it in high school. But I guess when you're interested and you're living in it daily, it just sticks. Anyway, my job was chill. I only worked 3 days a week, so I had plenty of time to do whatever I wanted, except dating. I wasn't interested in any of that. I was focused. One day, I was sitting in a little pub when this guy approached me. He spoke to me in this confident but respectful way. His English and French were fluent, and he had this presence like one of those 8 out of 10 type guys. Not arrogant. His name was Paolo. He said he just wanted to be friends, and that was fine with me. We saw each other now and then, at that same pub, sometimes just passing each other in the street. All harmless. But one night, I was in a not-so-little bar having a drink, and he showed up again. He said he was happy to see me. The convo was normal at first, but after a few minutes, he started getting too comfortable. He touched my hair, my back, even traced the lace of my bra with his damn finger. That was it. I told him to piss off. I said straight up, "Not today and not ever." That was my ick. I'm not into that, and I made it clear. A few days passed, and I didn't think about him anymore. I figured he got the message. But one evening after work, I got home and saw something left by my front door. It was a note, handwritten in French that means, "I like you. Do you come here often?" I laughed a little, then thought, what the hell? Of course I come here often. I live here. But I honestly didn't suspect Paolo at first. He didn't strike me as creepy. 3 nights later, someone knocked while I was cooking. I thought it was my Indonesian friend, Cassie, who had told me earlier she might come by. I checked the peephole, but it was Paolo standing outside. I wasn't in the mood. I opened the door and asked him, politely but firmly, what the hell he was doing there. He said he wanted to take me out for drinks. I told him no, as I was expecting someone. I purposely made it sound like I was expecting a guy, just so he'd back off. But the way he looked at me changed. He didn't say anything. He just knocked twice on the doorframe and walked away. That's when I started to feel weird. Like, how did he even know where I lived? Still, I tried to shake it off. That night, Cassie came over, we had dinner, she left, and I got ready for bed. Around midnight, I heard tapping. Light, repetitive tapping. It was so soft, but it felt close. I walked slowly through the open layout living area. That's when I saw someone sitting on my damn sofa. It was Paolo, and he was completely naked. He was sitting like one of those men from erotic paintings trying to look seductive, like I was supposed to be impressed or something. My blood ran cold. I screamed loud. I was furious, disgusted, terrified, all at once. He stood up and tried to calm me down, but I screamed louder. I think he realized I wasn't bluffing because he scrambled to grab his clothes and ran out of my apartment, still half naked. By some stroke of luck, a group of guys outside saw him. Maybe they heard me screaming. Whatever the case, they knew something was off. They tackled him and held him down while I called the police. The cops came, took him away, and I pressed charges. He admitted it was a sexual thing, said he wanted to surprise me, like that was okay. After that, I felt vulnerable. I was still in a foreign country, and for the first time, I felt like prey. My friends later told me maybe our run-ins weren't coincidences, that maybe he had been following me for a while. That's probably how he knew where I lived. The whole thing made my skin crawl. This world, it's filled with people who look normal but are hiding something disturbing. And as a woman, hell, as anyone, you have to watch your back.